Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Everybody's nice and wide awake. That's a good thing. All right. We're going to talk about two topics this morning. For those of you that don't know me, I guess I actually should make an introduction. My name is Clyde Atkinson. I am a major with the Murfreesboro Police Department. And Sergeant Melvin Cunningham, who normally comes and talks to you, has asked me to come and talk about two different topics to you this morning. The first one is going to be about Crime Stoppers, Rutherford County Crime Stoppers. How did it start? Where did it start? How did it start in Rutherford County? What it is? And most importantly, how you can put money in your pocket, cash money in your pocket. So we're going to talk about Crime Stoppers, and then we're going to talk a little bit about gun safety. I brought some samples and so forth up here. I've already been asked, okay, so I can dispel the rumor. I've already been asked, are you going to get a gun as a door prize? No. No. Nada. Okay, so you're going to get some gifts at the end, but it won't be a gun, okay? All right. Well, let's get back on Crime Stoppers, and then we'll save the show and tell time, and I will get out and show some of these around, let you hold them, let you look at them and so forth, explain the differences and teach you and show you some safety. That's the main thing that we want to do is talk about safety. Crime Stoppers. Well, let me tell you how it started. It started first off in 1976 in the big booming town now of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And way back when, police officers and the media didn't get along real well. All right? I'll just tell you that up front. The media didn't get along real well with the police, and the cops didn't get along well with the media. And particularly, the police chief and the head of the local TV station down there. I won't say bitter enemies, but definitely enemies. Well, one night at an all-night gas station, we had two criminals go and rob the gas station. But more than that, they made the all-night gas station attendant kneel and shot him in the back of the head, execution-style homicide. A very violent crime. As a matter of fact, it was Albuquerque's first execution-style shooting. Well, you can imagine the uproar and the outcry of the citizens of that town. They were mad, they were upset, they were mourning, and they were out for blood. They wanted to make sure that whoever the perpetrator or perpetrators were got what they deserved. So, what do we do as police officers? Okay, we interview people. So we went all the way around, they went all the way around the neighborhood and did interviews, okay? Canvassed the neighborhood. Knock and talks, that's what we call them. Did anybody see or hear anything? No. Didn't want to get involved, if they did. Didn't know anything, didn't say anything. So, the TV reporter who knew this detective by the name of Greg McAleese said, Greg, let's go to dinner. Let's go to lunch one day. He said, I can help you with your crime. We need to put these people away. Well, Greg was suspicious as a detective of it being the media, but he thought, well, I want to see what the guy has to say. So here's what happened. They went to lunch, and he said, we need to be able to stop this crime and stop it from happening again. He said, let's do something innovative. What about if we do a reenactment in front of the same gas station, and the little piece of information they had was a vague vehicle description and the color. And he said, well, okay, I probably have to get that approved. And so the TV reporter says, well, I had to talk to you first. I've got to talk to my boss, who's the station manager. Well, we had bad news from them. Okay, bad news. Police chief said, no way, not going to do it. They're going to turn the story around. They're going to make it our fault. They've plastered us in the news in the past. TV reporter calls Greg, Detective McAleese, and says, no way, not going to do it. Police doesn't cooperate. They lie. They're not trustworthy. Okay, no, we're not going to work with them. Well, Detective McAleese and the TV reporter said, no, we're not going to stop there. So they got, unbeknownst to them, they got the chief to come to lunch, and the reporter got the station manager to come to lunch, but it was the same lunch. So can you imagine a police chief and a TV station manager sitting at the same lunch table together that did not care for each other and obviously did not trust each other? They had never had that partnership before, ever. Well, by the time they listened to Detective McAleese and the TV reporter, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name, they decided, okay, we're going to do this one time. So they went and filmed the reenactment right in front of the same gas station that it happened, did it at the same time of night, said there was an orange vehicle, maybe it was a Dodge Charger or some kind of vehicle that was that similar. Ladies and gentlemen, within 24 hours, the Albuquerque Police Department had not only identified the vehicle, but identified the driver and the owner of the vehicle, and within 48 hours, they had arrest warrants and the two people locked up for what? Murder. That's what they locked them up for. So they did an end-up story, and it was live out on the scene. And the TV reporter said, Detective McAleese, how does it feel to be a crime stopper? And thus it began. Started with a few programs in Mexico, spread to Texas like wildfire. Spread over the United States with about 40 or 50 programs, and folks, now we are in every country there is that is a free country. Crime Stoppers started out being Crime Stoppers United States. Then we went to Crime Stoppers International. They have had the Crime Stoppers conferences in Canada. They've had them in England. They've had them in Australia, and on and on and on. They move the conference every year. It is a huge success. That's how Crime Stoppers started. When did we get it? Rutherford County was the fifth program in Tennessee to start up. And we have been successful since our start date, our inception date of 1984. My predecessor, before I took the crime prevention job, started Crime Stoppers along with retired Lieutenant Jerry Mays with Metro Nashville Police Department in Nashville. He was the first program that started up. His chief saw it from a chief's conference and said, I want you to look at this and see. And Jerry started it, and then he started traveling. He started traveling everywhere. I'm not sure exactly, but I believe it was Memphis had it next after Nashville. I know Franklin had it right before we did, and I believe Chattanooga. But anyway, we were the fifth program in Tennessee. I do know that. And we've been around since '84, so I would say that's pretty successful. Now, how does it work? How does it work? How has Crime Stoppers evolved? And it definitely has, in a positive situation. It has evolved that we monitor a phone line. Here in Rutherford County, we actually listen and monitor that phone 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. All right? We do not use a tape recorder. We do not use caller ID. We do not trace phone calls. The reason why is because our bylaws, along with Crime Stoppers International and Crime Stoppers USA, say you have to guarantee anonymity. Now let me ask you a difference right here. Police officers use informants all the time. okay, confidential informants. We call them CIs. What is the difference between a confidential informant and an anonymous caller, an anonymous informant? What's the difference? Come on, somebody shout it out. What's the difference?
Doesn't the informant get money, or don't they get paid right there for their services?
They both can get paid. They both can get paid. So that is a likeness. What's the difference? What's the main difference? All right. You want me to help you out? Yes. All right. He says yes. All right. A confidential informant is somebody that comes forward and gives us information, not necessarily for money, but they come forward and we know who they are. And a confidential informant is a matter of record, okay? In other words, their name and address and phone and all that is written down somewhere. Now, does that have to be on a search warrant, or does that have to be revealed to the defendant? No, okay? But it can be challenged in court. The good thing about Crime Stoppers is we guarantee anonymity, because when you call, we don't track you, we don't trace you. We issue you a code number. Okay, we don't want to know who you are. We don't record names. We don't write names. We don't know where you work, what kind of car you drive, your license number, anything. Okay, we don't know anything. Okay, so understand, when you call Crime Stoppers, we're not trying to steal your identity. Okay, I promise you that. Your identity is kept to yourself, because we don't ask you anything. So then everybody says, well, now wait a minute now. What's going on here? If you don't know how to get a hold of me, then how do I get my money? Now, first off, we don't pay you for information. Okay? We pay the caller upon an arrest. An arrest has to be made first. So we do not pay for the information up front. Now, obviously, if you know enough to get somebody arrested and convicted of a crime, then you're probably going to know when we've made that arrest, right? Is that pretty much everybody agree to that? So then once you know that arrest has been made, then you call Crime Stoppers back and you say, hey, John Doe has been arrested and here's my ID number. I'd like to get a reward if all possible. And so Crime Stoppers does that. They pay out those rewards. And see, everybody thinks that Crime Stoppers is owned and operated by a government agency, and that's not so. We are a partnership with a government agency. But Crime Stoppers is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. We're registered with the state of Tennessee and the Internal Revenue Service. All right, so we're just like Kiwanis and JC's and Optimist Club and Exchange Club and on and on and on. Lots and lots of good nonprofit organizations out there. But Crime Stoppers operates like that, so we partnership with the media, the community, and law enforcement. It's a big triangle because it takes everybody working together. And so that's how Crime Stoppers works. And we have people on the board, a 21-person board picked out from different business folks that's in the community of Rutherford County. They either have to live here or work here to be a board member. And they're the ones that dole out the money. They decide how much is the caller going to be paid. They are also responsible for raising money, for going out here and asking people for tax-deductible donations, because it is tax-deductible. And the fun part is they get to play the cloak and dagger. You know, I can't even go. You know, the fun part is when I talk to these people on the phone, and when the secretaries down at the police annex, when they talk to the folks on the phone, we can't go meet who we're talking to. Did you know that? We're police officers. We're police department employees. So who gets to go take the money are the board members. That's the fun part. They get to go pay this person that has called in and given us information so that we are able to make the arrest. Now, how much? Well, that varies. We say that we offer a reward of up to $1,000, and that's cash. I want to make sure that's cash. We don't pay by check, okay, because we don't know who it is that we're paying, right? Guaranteed anonymity, totally anonymous. But it's a very good program. It is very successful. But we need, law enforcement as well as Crime Stoppers, we need the eyes and ears of the community. That's what helps make all of you folks out there in the audience safe, is by solving crime, by stopping crime, getting the criminals off the street. We want that information. Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30, we answer that tips line. Okay? What is the phone number? What is the phone number? 893-STOP. That converts out to 893-7867. I'm going to leave these posters here, and I'm going to ask the management to put them around so that all of you can see that. Put it on the bulletin boards. We have these posters down at the police annex for folks that are out there in our TV viewing audience right now. And we have these around if you want to display these in your businesses. We give those out free. And if you'll notice this metal sign right here, our Cash for Clues program, we borrowed that idea, and that has worked out very well for us. People say, well, I'm calling Cash for Clues. Well, no, you're calling Crime Stoppers, but we give cash for clues if it results in an arrest. You'll notice when driving around or looking around in the city, we put these signs up underneath, right below, every neighborhood watch program sign that's in the city. So again, if you see a neighborhood watch sign and it doesn't have a Crime Stopper sign on it, you call us, you let us know about it, and we'll make sure one gets put up for sure. There's no doubt about that. Anybody have any questions about Crime Stoppers? It's a fairly simple, fairly very easy program to run and to operate. And again, I just want to say extremely successful. The board is great to work with. But do any of you have some questions before we change and move on to another topic? Yes, ma'am.
We get these phone calls, and it's supposed to be from the Murfreesboro Police Department wanting donations.
Okay.
And what I tell them is, will you send me some information? Because there's so many scams going around, you know.
Exactly. Okay. Again, for the TV audience, the question was, let me repeat that. We get calls all the time from the Murfreesboro Police Department requesting money and donations. All right. Let me set the matter straight. We don't do that. We don't do that. We do have a conference that is coming in that is going to be hosted by my police chief, Chief Glenn Chrisman, with the Tennessee Association of Chiefs of Police, and that's going to be coming in August. And we are requesting some assistance from some other companies, and we are requesting assistance from some of the business owners about some door prizes and so forth. But those are things that when we go out and we solicit that in person. We don't do anything on the telephone. So I can tell you that Crime Stoppers does not solicit on the telephone. We do not call you. The Murfreesboro Police Department does not solicit on the phone. We do not call you.
Well, the reason I said is I never get the information.
And that's what I was going to suggest next, okay? And you had the best idea. She said, well, I'm not against the police department, and we appreciate that. Here again, we need all the help we can get, but send me some information. And that's what you need to do, folks. Because what they're going to do is they're going to say, well, I'll send you an envelope or an email, and then you don't know where the email address is, or you can use PayPal or whatever, and then it's going to end up going to Canada or Nigeria or wherever it goes. And there are tons and tons and tons and tons of scams. The internet is a great thing, and it has helped us in law enforcement, but it also creates a large number of victims every day. And I know this isn't the specific topic, but folks, I can tell you, if you don't know who you're talking to on the other end of the phone, say, okay, send me some information, I'll look at it, and then I'll make a decision. And when they pressure you and pressure you and pressure you, hang up. Okay? Because the police department is not going to solicit money. I can tell you that. You know what we solicit? Do you know what the police department wants? Do you actually know what we want from you, what we solicit from you? information. That's what we want from you. We want the eyes and the ears of the whole community and everybody that's in this room. That's what we want. That's what we need help with.
Could you tell me, does the fire department do that? Because we've gotten calls on that one too.
I don't know. I do know the fire department does have an association. I'm not sure, but my suggestion is pick the phone up, call Chief Gaines, call Chief Toombs down there before you send anybody any money and ask them. If I knew, I would tell you. I don't know if they do that or not. I can just tell you we don't. I would not send anybody any money until I knew exactly who the recipient was and what the money was going to be used for. Very good question too, by the way. Anything else? Anything else about Crime Stoppers? Come on in and join us. Come on in and join us, please. Okay, any other questions about Crime Stoppers? And, all right, hope the batteries don't go dead again. Okay, we're going to move on and talk a little bit about gun safety. And then if you get a question about Crime Stoppers, maybe by the end of the program we can come back and we can revisit that. First off, from hands, how many of you in here have got some type of weapon at home? Okay, half, 50%. Nothing wrong with that. I definitely am a firearms enthusiast. I'm an advocate. But I do believe in having some safety with that. I believe in making sure that you train with the weapons, make sure that you're educated enough to clean it, make sure that you can take it apart and put it back together, and then also keep it safe at home by securing it. Now, one of the things that I'm going to give you today is I'm going to give you a free gun lock. This is one service the police department provides to the community, that if you have a weapon at home, all you have to do is come by the Murfreesboro Police Annex. We're located at 324 South Church Street. You can see me, or you can see any of the receptionists, any of the officers down there, and we will give you a gun lock for free. It's called Child Proof, Child Safe Program, because we don't want any quote-unquote accidental shootings. Now, I'm going to come back to that word accidental. Is there truly such a thing as an accidental shooting? Is there such a thing?
Yes.
No.
No.
No. Now, you know why? Because, and I'll use this, these are our Red Man training guns right here. That's what we use. That's what we use to train the officers. A gun is an inanimate object. Would everybody agree? It's in a stagnant mode right there. Every firearm on this table. Okay, can it shoot itself? Can that gun go off by itself? If it is in correct mechanical and good working order, it can't. That's why there's no such thing as an accidental shooting. You got to pull the trigger. You've got to pull the trigger to make that weapon go off. You've got to pull the trigger. Now, you may accidentally shoot somebody or harm somebody that you didn't mean to, but somebody had to pull the trigger. Okay? The firearm does not fire itself. It's dangerous only in the hands of someone that doesn't know what to do with it. Now, I didn't bring an example, but I want to cover a little bit about handguns first. Basically, you've got two different types. There are several, but basic two different types. And I tried this morning to find one. I couldn't find a revolver, but there's a revolver and then there's a semi-automatic. Okay, the semi-automatic means a weapon that will fire every time you pull the trigger. Okay, and the slide goes back. It has a working action on top. It's what most police officers use. It's what the Murfreesboro Police Department has. Okay, the other type of weapon is called a revolver. It has a round cylinder, which every time that you pull the trigger, the hammer comes back and falls on the cylinder and it rotates every time that you pull the trigger. It is a revolver. It'll fire 5 times, 6 times, 9 times. It depends on the caliber, the make, and the model of the firearm. Okay, but remember what I said. You have to pull the trigger on both types of weapons. The semi-automatic, I brought 3 up here. Well, actually, take that back. I brought 5. Okay? That simulates a Glock, and that is the brand of weapon that we carry. But that is called a Red Man training gun. Okay, now I'm going to show you how we train people with it, and that is you keep your finger out of the trigger. You see that right there? Right or left hand doesn't make any difference. You've got that finger on the frame of the gun. It's outside of the trigger. Now, why do we do that? Safety. We don't want the weapon to accidentally. What if we're running? And what if we're after the bad guys and we're chasing somebody? Okay? And we trip and fall and our finger's in that trigger and we trip and fall. Boom! Boom! Well, make sure you're not sleeping. All right? So, you train safely. Keep your finger out of the trigger guard. Then when you identify a target, a home burglar, a rapist, somebody that is trying to kidnap you, kill you, or whatever, do harm to your body, then identify your target and do the do. Okay, what other kind do we have? This is a 22. The reason I brought this weapon is it's had its guts removed. It's what we call an inert firearm. It cannot fire. It will not fire. It has no working trigger or mechanism or anything. You can't even load it. It has a fake aluminum bolt. This is a safe inert firearm. Now, why did I bring it? It has a different kind of trigger lock on it. Okay? It actually covers the trigger to where you cannot fire this weapon if it was real. This is a semi-automatic. This is a 22 caliber. Okay, what is this one right here? Did you get a good close look at it? I'll let you show that. What is this one right here? Y'all got to be quick on the draw for me. What kind is it? 9mm. What else does somebody say?
45.
Could be a 45. What else kind of? What other caliber? Could be 45. What else?
I told you that.
Could it be a 380?
45.
Could it be a 22? Could it be a 38 Super? Could it be a 40 caliber? It could be, but it's not. It is a pellet pistol. Now, I'm going to tell you, and I know myself that it's unloaded, but I'm still not going to point it at you, okay? I may point that red one at you, though, before the day's over, if I catch you going to sleep on me. Okay. If somebody comes into a bank or your home or you're stopped at a car at an intersection and they point at you, are you going to ask them, "Sir, what kind of gun is that? What caliber is it?" You know what? Because when we ask you what size the gun is, you're going to say, "It's that big." You're not going to look at what caliber it is. But your life is still in fear. Your life is still in jeopardy. Another kind of automatic. We'll come back to the rubber red gun. Now, I call these Saturday night specials, so I'm going to stay away from brands. Saturday night special. Okay, it's inert. Can't hurt you. Barrel's welded shut. Everything. We take, when we bring these out, we make sure that there's no way they can fire. Because I don't want somebody trying to play a practical joke on me and load the gun, okay? Even with the blank. They don't work. This is a 25 caliber. There is nothing wrong with the 25 caliber, but you have to make sure that you get a good brand, good reputable brand, okay? Now, the reason I brought so many different kinds is because of the colors. You see, a lot of people say, well, that's a black gun right there. Well, it's actually called blue steel. but it's kind of got a dark blue black finish, and it had ivory grips. It had pearl handled grips, just like General George S. Patton Jr. used to have. Well, not exactly. They're cheap plastic, but you see the weapons can come in different kinds and sizes. I have another. Okay, this is also a 25 caliber type weapon. I'm telling you folks though, Saturday night specials, you know they are because of the price you pay. Okay, and you have to remember that when you purchase and buy a firearm, that firearm is going to protect your life. So you don't want to buy an inexpensive firearm. But what color is it? Well, you could say it's nickel, you could say it's stainless, you could say it's silver, or you could say it's gray. But when somebody points one at you, or when you see somebody with a firearm, you need to take note what kind it is, because it really helps us out with weapon identification. Now this is a very unique weapon because it's not a revolver and it's not a semi-auto pistol. This one's a little different. It's a Derringer. And this one is a 38. It's 2-shot, top and bottom. And they have them also in all kinds of different calibers. This one here, unfortunately, tends to be a classification of Saturday night special because it's cheap. Now, here's the thing is, but is this weapon not unique? Yes, it is. It has silver barrels, not one, but two. It has a black or blue steel body, and it has white or ivory colored plastic grips. So they come in all different shapes, sizes, brands, and calibers. Now I'm going to show you another one. All right. You got your speed glasses on? Here we go. What kind of gun is that?
I don't know.
It's a weird one.
All right. Marcus is filming back there. He doesn't know what I'm going to do next.
It's a weird one.
I thought it was, what's a 22 look like?
Oh,
Looks like
How about a knife gun? I got you. I got you. It's not a gun at all, but it looks like it, doesn't it? It even has a hammer on it. That's a blade lock. That's a knife. That's a dangerous weapon. Okay, it is a weapon. Can it kill you? It can kill you, but it can't shoot you. Okay, it can't shoot you. All right. Now, any questions about handguns? Because I want to get a little bit into maybe an illegal type of weapon and talk to you about shotguns and rifles. Now, I did not have an inert shotgun to bring. Only thing I've got's out there in the trunk of my car, just like the other police cars have, is a real loaded live shotgun. I decided not to bring that in. I didn't know if any of you want to try to go out here and practice or not, you know. So I decided I'd leave that in the trunk of the car. But I did bring an illegal weapon that also is inert. It has had all the hammers, triggers, and everything removed. It has lead in the barrel. You can't even open the breech, and that's called a sawed-off shotgun. In my personal opinion, that's one of the best weapons that you can use to defend your home is a shotgun, not sawed off. Definitely not sawed off. But a shotgun is a very good home defense weapon. You have to make sure of your target. You got to make sure there's no children in the house. You got to make sure and use ammunition that's not going to shoot through walls. But they're good weapons. Here again, good brand. You get what you pay for. Just like what kind of car you drive, just like what kind of house you live in. It's the same thing. You get what you pay for. But I brought one to show you that this is what the bad guys have, folks. They have sawed-off rifles. They have sawed-off shotguns. They're short barrel. This is what we go up against every day as police officers. Every one of these weapons, obviously with the exception of my training gun here, every one of these weapons, folks, was confiscated from a criminal. We didn't go out and buy them and then destroy them. Okay? They were confiscated from a criminal. that was committing a criminal act. But don't think a criminal's not armed, because they are. And you definitely have the right to arm yourself. But again, the main thing, if you've got a weapon at home, don't do like a gun dealer once told me and says, well, I had someone come in and they found the gun they wanted and said, okay, the very next thing that happened, I want the gun. They passed the background and they said, can you sell me a box of bullets? Sure. Okay, now can you load it for me? And the gun dealer says, no, ma'am, I'm sorry, I will not. What did I do at the beginning? I said, you need to know how to load it, unload it. You need to know how to shoot it. You need to know how to clean it and take it apart and put it back together. And folks, if you don't shoot 50 rounds through it at least every month, you don't need a gun at home. Because number one is, how do you know that it's going to work? How do you know it's going to work? Now we're getting kind of towards the end of the program here, and I know that you've got another activity come up right after this that some of you want to go to, that you might win a prize. But see, when you stay in here with me, you're going to win something. You're going to win something. I've got some, this silver case right here, Sergeant Cunningham calls that our toy box. Okay, so I've got some gifts and toys and incentives in here for you that we're going to give you. Also, I did bring our display of gun locks. If you have one, if you know of somebody that's got a firearm, please take one. They are free. We do not charge for that. We do not sell them. All right, before I want to open the floor up for questions and see if I can clarify anything at all about the handgun or firearm safety or about Crime Stoppers.
I noticed you didn't have a 22. Are they worth having? I mean, are they...
Yes, ma'am. This caliber right here, this firearm right here, and it is a good brand. Actually, this is a good firearm. This is a 22 caliber. Okay.
I was thinking they were smaller.
You can get the different calibers and different sizes of weapons. There's no doubt. She asked me that she thought the 22 was smaller. The ammunition is smaller, but the actual size of the weapon can be a real small one, or it can actually be much larger than that. A lot of people shoot competition with 22s. Lots and lots and lots of 22 rifles out there that people hunt with and so forth. That was actually my first weapon when I was a youth, when I was young. My father bought me a 22 rifle, and that's what I learned on.
Now, I'd always heard if somebody comes into your house, they better be in the house if you shoot them.
Well, let me, no, you can't shoot, and that's a good question. She wanted to know, does somebody have to be in the house before you shoot them? The best answer to that is this. You must feel like that your life is in fear. If you're in your house, you've retreated to the bedroom, they've backed you into a corner, they've put you as far as you can retreat, then here again, what I call do the do. What you have to explain to the judge and the police and the jury and the grand jury and whoever else that gets involved in that shooting situation, you have to convince them that your life was in fear. Now, the good point you made is, that doesn't mean, hey, I see some guy walking outside my yard at night, I'm going to shoot him through the window. Okay? And what he's done is his kid's thrown a softball over in your front yard and they've gone to retrieve it. Okay? You've got to have a reason. You've got to have a reason. If they're outside your house, the courts and the laws have held, you're still safe inside. You're still safe because they are not coming to intrude or trying to break into your house. But you have to remember, you're under the same elements of the law as a police officer. You must feel like that your life is in fear. That's probably the best advice that I can tell you. But also, Tennessee does give you the right to defend yourself. Okay, you have the right to defend yourself.
Okay. We have a security system, and they said that, when they put it in, they told us that there's a silent alarm that we can hit if, like, somebody forces you in the garage into your house.
Yes, ma'am.
That works pretty good.
And that does work well. And her comment was that she's got a security alarm system in her house, and they've got a silent panic switch on it, which they can activate and tell the alarm company that you're under duress. I don't like the silent kind myself. If I'm going to set the alarm off, I want all the bells and the whistles and the birds and the bees outside to hear. All right, I want my neighbors to hear. So our alarm system at our house does have that situation, and it can be activated like that. I've told my wife, don't worry about that. You hit the panic switch and get everybody coming. Okay, anything else at all about questions on firearms or any questions on Crime Stoppers? Folks, you've been a great audience. You've had some really good questions. I appreciate you coming this morning, and hope you've got some good information. And again, I want to say thank you very much.